Namaskar. Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. I'm your host Sri Iyer. Joining me today is Adelle Nazarian, and we are going to analyze what happened today in Washington DC. Prime Minister Modi came calling, and you can say instead of asking what happened, you might want to ask what did not happen. So a lot of exciting stuff. You will not find this thing in mainstream media. Let's first welcome our guest of the evening, Adelle Nazarian. Adelle, namaskar and welcome to PGurus channel.
Namaskar. Great to be on with you again.
Adelle, with your permission, I'm going to start with a quick video of about 50 seconds where we'll show people lining up to watch a 21-gun salute in the White House lawn in favor of Prime Minister Modi. This is a really quick video I'm going to play. Adele, there were 10,000 people assembled. Every state was represented. Every religion was represented. If you go back and play this thing in slow motion, you will see what I mean. But it was a moment of pride for all Indian Americans settled in the United States. People paid their own fare to go there. I know so many of my friends who've taken the trip, and they're all in DC tonight. So this has been a big deal. I think if I have to say, the NRIs, the non-resident Indians, have spoken for Modi in 2024. But you tell me how you think. Excuse me. So how did you think this whole event today, how did it play out? You probably watched his speech and you also saw his press conference?
Absolutely. I think the numbers don't lie. You can see how much support there is for him. And despite the attempts by detractors to tarnish his visit. But I think this is so important. What we're going to see now is, of course, 2024 elections are upcoming. And I think that those who are running are noticing and realizing they have realized it, but they're seeing now even more than before. This is a tremendously important voting base of voters. And we're going to have Republicans and Democrats both alike looking to recruit support from them. But I think from what I've noticed, frankly, is that while there's been a split between support for the Democratic Party, actually, I'd say they were more involved in the Democratic Party historically. There has been a switch, frankly, more towards the Republican Party by Indian Americans. And I think indeed. A lot of it has, right? And I think a lot of it has to do with the conservative underpinnings at the end of the day, the family values, the core tenets, right? I mean, of course, that democracy means having the freedom to be who you are, to love the person that you love, whatever, regardless of your sexual orientation, identity. But when it comes to the core conservative values of making sure that your family and your children are raised in a way that is going to be in line with what you as a parent believe, I think that's one of the main reasons why, in addition to obviously economic reasons, the economy just tends to do better under the Republicans in general. Historically, you'll notice that. That's why they're veering more towards the Republican side, and a lot of candidates are going to be attempting to get support. But just to focus on his speech, go ahead.
Yes, indeed. And the thing about his speech was it was an excellently delivered speech. There were at least 8 or 10 times standing ovation. And by the way, he addressed the two chambers in English. And that was something unusual. They thought maybe he'll do it in Hindi and then somebody would translate it. No. He spoke in English. I mean, Modi is not, he speaks English, but it's not something that he's known for. He's not like for example, the Minister of External Affairs or even Rahul Gandhi is quite comfortable speaking English. But Modi has come from a very rural background, and English is not that prevalent in that part of the country. So it was wonderful to see, I think 8 or 10 standing ovations he got, and he ended it with a bang, and a lot of people were standing and clapping around. There were lots of cheers from the audience. And interestingly, one of the people who wrote this letter signed by 70 Democrats actually ushered Prime Minister Modi in to the hall, where it was Khanna and Pramila Jayapal. So it was very interesting that, on the one side, she would write this letter, and it's based on lies. That's the problem I have. If you have a constructive criticism, yes, sure. But it is based on lies. Everybody knows it. And not only that, you saw what happened with Barack Obama, using the same template. So you now know that the toolkit is very much in play, and all these people are all together in, just trying to, almost Goebbelsian propaganda, trying to make a lie sound again and again and again and again, and then hope that turns out to be the truth. And I've also released a monologue in the morning. Sorry, I'll just finish now. That explains this in more detail about Barack Obama's statement, why. And now, if you look at social media, there are lots of tweets saying that he allegedly got $4 million paid to make those statements. Easy money for an ex-president. But that also begs the question, is Barack Obama, if he was just some nobody, would he be given $4 million to say that? This is the same thing like those, Rihanna commenting on the farmers' agitation and so on. Adelle, this has become big business these days.
It is. It's politics and propaganda, and it's one of the oldest industries in the book. I have to say though, his speech was truly powerful. He touched upon, I want to talk about 5 key highlights. Talked about the economy, with India's economy having been the 10th largest, and now it's the 5th and on its way to being the 3rd largest economy in the world. He talked about climate action. He talked about the importance of the G20, the only country actually to meet the Paris commitment, trying to make renewable energy, women's empowerment, women-led development in the tech sector, progress. Also, he talked about unity and diversity, what you saw today in the line that you displayed, lined up the 21-gun salute. India is home to all the faiths in the world. Truly, every single faith in the world is in India. And they have over 2,500 political parties, 20 different parties that govern the states of India, and also on foreign policy. So he absolutely covered everything. And the fact that he did deliver his speech in English is all the more powerful, because it shows that he's very aware of, an effort to probably improve his English ahead of the visit, to show his commitment to improving ties between both nations diplomatically, economically, from a national security perspective. And I think that India is going to also set a standard and be a leader for other countries in the region and in the neighboring continents, to also see, look, there's benefits in working with, having the West and the East work together.
Yes, indeed. And viewers, there were some other interesting things that happened. Our own Utsav Chakrabarti of Hindu Action Group, he has sent us a video where you can see him being heckled by Mr. 𝙒𝙗𝙣, and I'll show you, you will see it, then you'll understand who I mean by that. This is pretty atrocious. But before that, he's going to be actually greeted back by the Minister of External Affairs, Dr. S. Jaishankar. He happened to be in the hall where the Prime Minister and the MEA were, you'll see it now.
Namaste.
House Foundation officers of the Green Valley.
Namaste. Jaishankar ji.
Mr. Chakrabarti, what are you doing here? Mr. Chakrabarti? What are you doing here? You're with VHP America? Isn't VHP America the U.S. branch of India's VHP? Isn't VHP an organization in India that's murdering Christians, Muslims? So why are you here? How do you feel about the slaughter by your Indian branch back with all the militants there that are engaged in the murder, the massacre of Christians, of Muslims. Do you have any comment on that whatsoever? Do you have any capacity? How do you feel about Modi's BJP establishing a fascist state in India? Sir, not acceptable. Sir, we want your comments. Does the VHP America support VHP in India are doing? Sir, do you support the slaughter of Manipur? Sir, do you have any comment on why Modi was banned from the U.S. for almost 10 years? Because of his complicity in the 2002 pogrom against Muslims? Modi was engaged in overseeing the mass slaughter of 1,000, 2,000 Muslims, gang raping women, pregnant women.
Don't spit on me.
Slaughtering little kids.
Don't spit on me.
Slaughtering little kids.
So, viewers, they were supposed to be 3,000 strong, and you saw that hardly 50 people turned up. There were a few Khalistani flags. This individual, his name is Peter, what is it? I'm forgetting it. Friedrich. And he is a dubious character. He will take money and he'll say whatever that person who gives the money will ask him to say. Anyway, but you can see how, a warrior like Utsav has to go through all these kinds of heckling. Poor guy. I mean, he was like for 5-10 minutes in your face, 3-4 people surrounding, putting placards. They're all staged. I mean, it's like, ambushing him. And I thought I saw some, law and order people also, but they were just saying, freedom of speech. But it was borderline. If I would have handled it with aplomb, I thought, saying, "Don't spit on me."
Yeah, he that was very, actually, that was double-edged sword. It had more than one meaning. Don't spit on me. So, not just he probably was spitting out of his mouth when he was speaking, but also the words that he was saying were not true. I mean, unfortunately, Muslims, Hindus, many different faiths were killed during that horrible incident. And but Peter Friedrich is not a journalist. He is a I'd say an assassin activist for hire. And
that's right.
that's what he does. He's for hire to try to inflict reputational damage on people. And there's quite a few people out there who are of that same nature, unfortunately. But I think it's important for the true journalists out there, the true investigative journalists out there, to do the hard work and to use to use integrity and to stop using emotional ploys to try to veer the public away from the facts. And the facts aren't going to always work in your favor, and the facts aren't always going to be what you want to hear. They're not going to always support your narrative. But twisting reality in order to get an emotional rise out of the masses to win fake support, that's dangerous. It's dangerous for civilization. And I think we've seen a degradation of our own society, unfortunately, culturally, because of that very, very crime, frankly, against humanity. So I think Utsav handled it very, very well. And I think at the end of the day, all his hard work, he's not the head of VHP. I mean, that's ludicrous. He's the executive director of Hindu Action, and they have no affiliation with VHP. And I think that the people at the end of the day know that democracy, I think he has every right. Again, I want to defend Peter Friedrich's right to stand there and make a fool out of himself, because that's the beauty of democracy.
Oh, actually, he doesn't shy away from making a fool of himself. He has made a fool of himself in just about every city known to mankind in the United States. I mean, he's a protester for hire. Last week or a few days ago, he was in Palo Alto protesting against one Democratic candidate. This fellow is supposed to be a Democrat. So got money, I'll do whatever. I'll spew whatever you want me to spew. This is the kind of person he is. Let's not take him too seriously, and let's not give him too much copy either. So let's move on. So a couple of things that have happened is the GE deal with HAL for F-14 engines has been signed. So I don't know if the component level detail, whether the blades are going to be part of that or not. I will do some research and get back to you, viewers, in a later monologue. So for now, let's take some questions. Adelle, with your permission, can we take some questions? There are a few questions that have come.
That would be great. Okay.
Excellent, excellent. Let's go for questions, please. Pardeep Shori wants to know, the love, pride, and admiration was palpable and on full display during Modi's speech. Shocked as to why Khanna and Pramila Jayapal were the ones to escort Modi to the chamber. And here is what it is. This is I didn't read this tweet. Please remember Khanna's quote when asked as he was arriving at White House dinner, when asked about Modi's speech, just paraphrasing, he said, "I'm glad he talked about diversity of faith." Ro likes to kind of sit on the fence. The district of Fremont, which he represents, has a sizable Islamic population, mostly from Pakistan and Afghanistan, and I think he doesn't want to say anything one way or the other, but sometimes he'll take pot shots at either side and then correct himself by doing the other thing. And he's doing some, tiptoeing, I should say. If you have anything, did you follow that tweet of Khanna? I didn't get a chance to read that.
Yeah. So which one? This one has been vigilant, or
the one before this? The one before this.
Oh, about being faith and diversity. So I think that, I think obviously every single faith she represented. This is, America. So and India, as Modi's pronounced in his own speech, India represents every single faith on earth. It has it represented in the country, in the subcontinent. So similarly, so does America. And just to address the previous comment, right? I think the reason that Khanna was selected along with Pramila to escort Prime Minister Narendra Modi into the hall before he gave his speech is because, Ro has definitely made a lot of advances in his career as a politician. I believe he clearly has intentions to run for higher office, and he is one of the most vocal and ideable South Asian members of the Democratic Party. And so that was the reason why, whether it's Republican or Democrat, right, either side's going to do that, absolutely. Regarding the diversity of faith, I do agree with that. It's wonderful, but Modi's never veered towards one faith over the other, from what I recall. He's always been inclusive. And despite what the media may try to portray, he is a leader for all people. And I think that there's it's unfortunate when anyone tries to nitpick something particular and make a mountain out of a molehill, so to speak. But it is politics.
That is true. Next one, please. Pavan Kishore wants to know, why do some activists and politicians in USA fall for propaganda and misrepresent the facts of the issues in India? What can be done to correct this course? Well, until they make a statement, you don't know what they have said. But typically what happens, Pavan, is that none of these congressmen or senators have time to actually read or follow all these news events. And in fact, somebody actually tweets on their behalf, just like I'm sure many politicians in India have that too. So these are all essentially for consideration. Anything can be tweeted as long as it doesn't concern them, their family, their constituency, or their party. That's where they consider like, oh, I have to be careful about these things. Anything else goes. I mean, that is reality for you. You just have to be cautious. And sometimes big donors, especially Indian Americans, do tell their elected representative to run things Indian with me before you make a statement, so I can help you make a considered decision. This is something that any donor should start doing, so that they know that the truth is the one that is represented, not somebody's version of the truth. Thank you, Amit. Sri sir, Adelle, madam, namaste. While watching the stupendous session of PM addressing Congress, I was wondering, rather trying to decode Kamala Harris' expression, her force seemed fizzled. Your thoughts?
Well, thank you for that question. I think that, when I lived in Southern California also, I had the opportunity to meet then prosecutor Kamala Harris, and I certainly saw that she had aspirations for higher political office as well. And she did present herself as, wanting as Indian and sometimes Black, depending on how it benefited. And she has the advantage of having both in her arena, being of both backgrounds diversely. But yeah, I guess maybe she was blown away with the power and magnitude of his speech. And I mean, I'm not in her head, so I can't really tell exactly what she was thinking, but I definitely believe that Prime Minister Modi's speech was very rousing. And I think it also caused a little bit of maybe concern with people who are in the current election cycle, as I alluded to earlier in the show, that we're going to have Democrats and Republicans both scrambling to gain the support of this key constituency when it comes to voting. So I think maybe that was what she was thinking about how I wonder how it's going to affect our 2024 aspirations.
Yes, indeed. Next question, please. Thank you, Amit. Adelle, ma'am, where was Ilhan Omar yesterday?
Great question. I don't believe I noticed her in the audience.
Oh,
Did I
no,
miss
she
that?
was a no-show. She said she was staying away. But there was another place where she was holding court. She was having a press conference yesterday. That's why I think he wanted to know. Something else happened, guys. I'm not able to
Please.
recollect exactly what happened. She was doing something. Listen, these are all on the payroll of the Alphabet Soup organization, okay? And there's nothing you can do. It's a free country. Anybody can say anything they want. And the burden of proof is on you to prove that they misrepresented facts or whatever. So it's just a live and let live. You just have to be quick in rebutting with facts.
I have to say, I did not know she had a press release.
Yeah, there was a press conference going on.
A press conference, rather. Sorry.
Utsav was telling me about it. I actually invited him for this, but I think he's really tired. He had to walk a long distance here today, and I'm sure he felt a little bent out of shape out of that experience where 3 or 4 guys were all ganging up on him. So I'll get back to you. I mean, I'll update it in the next conversation. Thank you, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Obama was ridiculous. What if the Indian government media started questioning treatment of blacks and gun violence issues in US to Biden? Such issues exist here, but India is not spewing US democracy is in danger. Adelle, you want to take that one?
Yeah, I'm just looking at the second part of it. Yeah, it's interesting. I recall when, I believe it was, I don't know what year it was, but President Barack Obama had actually submitted to the UN that United States actually was guilty of discrimination and human rights abuses, if I'm not mistaken. Do you remember that?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
Yeah, I think every nation has that, of course. And when you're actually heading the most democratic, the most democratic, and I guess by comparison, the freest nation, you're going to have, unfortunately, incidents like that, right? But to actively try to, I don't know, sabotage and to give the perception like you're attacking the country that is the beacon of freedom and so many people aspire to come to, it's a little bit troubling. I don't know that, look, there's definitely problems in America regarding minorities, regarding people of different backgrounds, regarding the blacks. And I think that, honestly, one of the things also that was done in the previous administration under President Trump was he, for all his flaws, for all, whether you like him or hate him, he really was historic in terms of his policies that actually did more for Black Americans than had ever been previously done, with prison reform and with the historic Black colleges for providing them funding. So I know the media wasn't very fond of covering that, honestly, but I didn't quite see what President Obama was saying regarding Modi's speech. Maybe you could elaborate on that a little bit more, Sri.
The interview aired just an hour ago, anyway, the point there is that there was a specific question asked about the Muslim minorities of India, and he expressed the same thing. Essentially, if you think about it, everybody has been supplied the same toolkit, and they were regurgitating from the same thing. That's about it. There is really none of them have really taken care to understand that. Look, there is a Pew Research report that rebuts every point that has been made by Pramila Jayapal. One would wonder if she can even read or write, or whether she considers Pew Research as something that is not reliable. Pew Research is one of the most reliable survey organizations. So anyway, that is what it is. We have to move on. Thank you, Obi-Wan, for your generous offer.
Quote,
And
I live freely in
yeah.
Prime Minister Modi's India.
Yeah, thank you. I try to do my best. We want to be only telling you about the truth. There's no embellishments in PGurus. In fact, we criticize the Modi government also when we think that they haven't done something right. For example, going after all the white-collar criminals. So, any rate. So, are there any more questions? Yeah, there's one more. Pawan Kishore, Ilhan Omar was doing press conference with IAMC. There you go. One of the most famous alphabet soup organizations. They tried their best. They tried their best, and they thought they were going to get 3,000 people to come protest. 50 turned up. You can see that in that video where you can see there are barely 5 or 6 Khalistani flags flying. That was it. You're going to say something. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, I was looking at the next question, actually. Oh, yeah. I was going to say, sorry, before we go to that, Muslim leaders
IAMC.
reply.
Right.
Yeah. They go, I live freely in Prime Minister Modi's India. You are showing a wrong picture of India under your hate agenda. The ex-vice chairman of the National Commission for Minorities, Atif Rashid, wrote. I don't know if you're familiar with who that is, but there are people who are Muslim Americans that are actually coming out and speaking against the misinformation being presented by Ilhan Omar, unfortunately.
Well. In fact, speaking of Ilhan Omar, it's back in social media. There's a picture of her in Al-Qaeda uniform with a machine gun.
I don't know if that's true, though. Is it?
Yeah. So this is the thing. There is some dispute about it. She has been trying to get things suppressed, but every once in a while it will come back again, and it's again doing the rounds on Twitter. You guys might see it. Very youngish looking Ilhan Omar with a machine gun. Anyway, so we don't know more. I mean, I didn't know that Al-Qaeda even had a uniform. So I'm not going to say anything. This is just somebody musing loud. Next question from Norcia. India needs a global media house, government funded but run independently, to put forward our narrative. Yeah, they can have Adele as the United States editor. She has a degree in journalism. She does a fantastic job.
Thanks. Well, actually, my degree is in Mandarin Chinese.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
then you can decode all the coded messaging also. So which one did you learn? Classic Mandarin or the modified Mandarin that now the CCP has put out?
Well, both actually. Traditional and also simplified. So Putonghua is the Mandarin, the most commonly used one. But what happens is, because there are so many different dialects in China, they had to find one common way for everyone to be able to communicate. There's Mandarin, Cantonese, other different dialects. And so they chose the traditional writing, which is like 60,000, 80,000 characters. It's incredibly fast. And that was the way for people to communicate, through writing. But I was trained classically and traditional, and learned simplified as well. I think there's one more question too. Thank you.
Yeah. Is there any questions left? I think we may have missed the last one. Oh, Sucharita Sarkar. Hats off to chartered DA from a fellow Bong from India. Proud of you. How you handle that Peter idiot. Oh, it's talking to Utsav.
Yeah.
Hats off to Utsav. Thank you. We will convey that. And 15 standing ovations and 79 applauses. Somebody has been keeping count. Thank you so much.
Look, I think at the end of the day, though, what we're going to see is that the numbers are going to determine the will of the people. And that's the most important thing to look out for. Seeing how they end up voting at the ballot box, seeing how increasingly anyone who wants to get to a previous question, to get the truth, in reality, you have to be able to go to social media platforms. I think Twitter has been tremendous, Reddit. That's kind of more, those are more areas where people are actually reporting on what's going on in their minds. And it's not being, parroted by the 24-hour news cycle and the talking points that are repeated. So I highly recommend looking at other sources.
Arindam Ghatak wants to know, what are the big deals which have been so far signed? Artemis, TOT for technology transfer, I think, and GE414 engines, MQB drones, and TOT, anything else? What I'm hearing is that Micron is going to be investing $2.5 billion for packaging testing in Gujarat. And there is something in the works with Applied Materials and Google. Prime Minister Modi mentioned just the names of the companies in the press conference. He did not mention anything more. I'm looking for some information. As as information comes out, we will give you an update maybe tomorrow or even day after tomorrow, as soon as I have some more tangible information. We appreciate the dignity of Utsav. Thank you both for the wonderful discussion. Thank you once again, Radha. And Adelle, I think that brings us to a close of today's session. And I really appreciate you're taking the effort to put together this mini series of hangouts to cover Modiji's visit. And viewers, I would like you to express your thanks by way of comments. And Adelle, I would love to have you come back again on more topics. Clearly, this is just the beginning. This is the beginning of an election cycle. UK goes to election. Bangladesh goes to elections. US is going to elections, and India is also going to elections. Between now and the next 18 months, you're going to have our hands full. We can be talking about something every day. So thank you once again. And viewers, please.
Thank you.
Thank you. And viewers, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to click on the bell button for notifications. Namaskar.